Hey, you crazy cats! 42's live streams and videos are simply not available on vinyl. You will have to go to the YouTubes for that. So if you want content about British traditions and culture, cutting edge social commentary from an unapologetically patriotic perspective, along with a side order of madness you simply will not find anywhere else, then this is the place for you. And to all those early adapters in the chat, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That's how you get the good stuff, and make sure you never miss a tasty treat. So with that being said and done, squeeze yourself in. Let's get into it. You know you want to. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are still a thing. Welcome to the show, everybody. Can I get a wee audio check in the chat? It's telling me that there's 4 people in at the minute, which is actually, well, that's what just went back to 2. Who knows? Who knows what the actual number is? But this is what it's showing me. At least it's showing me there's people in. A Spanish chicken is on the lurk, which lets me know that it is actually getting out to someone. But we'll start with our hellos with the Mr. Budgie of Burger. Great to see you here. We are covered for the funniest comments in the whole of the internet. Captain Paga, who was streaming tonight with his guest Chris of Dangerfield. Very good show. They were looking at the Carmelo Anthony verdict and the reaction to that madness. Spanish chicken is on the lurk. Astro Mouse Dallas. Ha. I'm going to take a wild guess that's Dallas, America, and if yes, how's everything going with the World Cup over there? Are the locals getting involved with it or not so much? And Spanish Chicken's telling me the audio is good. It's 5/5. Excellent. Anglo-Saxon, welcome, brother. Welcome aboard. Thank you for coming along. Let's see, where are we now? Dallas, Texas. Did you ever figure out who shot JR? Let's see, right. What are we going to do? We'll start off and we'll do our shout-outs, our normal shout-outs. I think I missed some of these last week. It all got a bit confusing, but we do our best. So, first one I want to give a shout-out to is Robin, Courage to Secure, a girl from Australia who will keep you up to date with all the tyrannical decisions of the governments, not only in Australia where she hails from, but also around the world. And I also think it's very important we get perspectives from a couple of different hemispheres, particularly whenever we've got good people working on these areas. And talking about other people of a distance, the other person that I always give a shout to would be Rich RPW Media, who streams every Friday night at 11 o'clock British summertime. I'm not sure what the time zone is in America where he comes from, but also Rich will do a very similar thing. He will keep you up to date in everything that is going on in the political world in America. He has a really good website with a large back catalog. So if there's anything you want to find out about from the recent past, you can go on to that and you will indeed find that. He also puts out quite a few videos during the week. That's Rich RPW Media. And the other person I want to give a shout out to would be the one, the only, the Dave Waffle, home of the Friday Night Duck Race, the best internet duck race, the best duck race on the internet. You can win all forms of prizes, and there are many ways that you can indeed get yourself ducks. You can buy them, you can win them, you can trade them. Well, not really trade them, but some people could give you one. You can leave comments underneath any of the streams that actually stay up, and you will indeed be blessed with a duck, and that duck may be the one that crosses the finish line first and win you a tin of liquid ass. It really is that good. Although I will say that if I ever win the liquid ass, I will not be even taking the lid off that stuff. It's not good. I do have a plan for what to do with it, and it will involve making a thank you video if I ever win such a prize, but please be advised it will not involve the usage of said chemical. If for no other reason, I already get, deodorant about my level. I need to turn my head away whenever I'm putting my deodorant on because I've worked chemicals for a very long time. And I don't like sharp chemical smells. And liquid ass does not sound good. Neil Armstrong shot JR on the moon. That's a very strong possibility. It's a better take than the old fell asleep and had a dream for a year. That doesn't seem likely at all. No. What other shout outs do I need to? That's all of my shout outs. I think what we will do next is, before we get into the meat and potatoes of all of this stuff, I do have a little bit of a comedy moment for you. Let me just get this pulled up. Yeah, we need to watch it. Okay, we have indeed got the video up, and we shall. Why is that? First, all right. Sorry, the comments in my screen have went funny. Budgie Burgers one was hidden for some reason, but it has now reappeared. We are all good. Yep. You can judge a country pretty much by how it deals with traffic, indeed, traffic infractions and whatnot, and also how you safely get people from point A on one side of the road to point B on the other side of the road. And I came across this video, and it seems that, while maybe not let's say it's not the obvious manner of enforcing traffic rules, but it is definitely effective. Well, let's just have a look and see what you think about this method for preventing people parking on the actual Pelican Crossing.
Ahí que tú vas. Ahí que tú vas, tú ves. Ahí la gente puede cruzar. Mira cómo la gente puede cruzar. Pues tú estás ahí que tú vas. ¿Verdad?
Yep, there we go. We'll watch out again.
Ahí que tú vas. Ahí que tú vas, tú ves. Ahí la gente puede cruzar. Mira cómo la gente puede cruzar. Pues tú estás ahí que tú vas. ¿Verdad?
Yep, there you go. What did you all think of that? And with that, I'm going to start moving into the actual meat and potatoes. Basically, what I want to, how do I put this? Yeah, I grew up looking at murals, something like, we'll find this, and boom, 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 boom. Where is it? Yeah, that one will do. Percent all right. Share screen, window. This image here that I chose for the thumbnail, this 1690, and the picture of King William splashing across the water with his horse reared, and the white horse. This is a traditional looking mural. It says King William III at the top in 1690. I grew up and these were very, very, very common. This type of mural has went down a little bit. Murals change in Belfast and Northern Ireland in general as time goes on. But basically what I'm trying to get to is how come I grew up with all of this. A Dutch man fighting the French army in Ireland, and why it is, how come this is very central to the culture with a lot of the other events that are connected to this image. Why they're not why they're not in the culture as prominently. And it's more complicated than you probably think. A society that does not put the trolleys back in the supermarkets will fail. Strange measure, but rule. Right. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, it takes a level of cooperation and people doing the same thing for any society to work function. And it turns out that there's countries where there's very little of that. Fortunately, not where I live. So what I wanted to do was sort of go through and try to explain that and also put it in the context. We are about to celebrate the 336th anniversary of the Battle of the Boyne. Yeah, we're about to celebrate the 336th anniversary of the Battle of the Boyne on the 12th of July. I will be streaming the Belfast Parade and also the Ballymacart District Number 6 Return Parade. I'm not sure that I'm going to do the Ballymacart Leaving in the Morning one. In fact, I would doubt that. I normally, yeah, 9 years. I'll take this back off the screen. I normally do the 1st of July parade, but for a variety of reasons, that just didn't work this year. The one thing I will say is I did to go and see a man about a dog. For any of you that understand Belfast, you'll know that means I had to go and talk to somebody about something that's personal. I'm not going to tell you what it is. So you say, I'm going to see a man about a dog. It's obvious that that's not what the conversation is going to be about. And if you want me to tell you lies, just go ahead and ask questions because I'm not telling you the truth of it. In the end, people leave it at that. So go and do a bit of that, which actually is quite interesting. Facet of our community. The East Belfast Saw Memorial Parade. It took 34 minutes this year because I checked somebody else that did live stream it, which has the time for when it starts, when it finishes, and it was 34 minutes. If you take it on average, that parade is moving at 3 miles per hour. Half an hour means that the parade extended will be somewhere between a mile and a half long. However, when it starts, it folds up into about 200 yards because these bands and lodges are all stacked up in side streets, getting to parade out and up the road to form one large parade. And the interesting thing is these lodges and bands do not arrive on buses and unload and start there. No, they start off somewhere else, either the master's house or a pub where the lodge will gather, the band will parade up, they'll collect the lodge and they'll march into the parade. And they've all got to occupy at some stage the same few bits of tarmac to get them into there, but it's all timed and all just knits together. It's actually quite an interesting thing to observe the formation of one of these parades. If you're ever in Ulster or even Scotland or perhaps Liverpool, Manchester, where there's a parade going on, I suggest you go and have a look at that because it is quite interesting. Now, the other good thing about it is, because the person I need to see was from my community, I know what lodge he's in. So all I need to do is go to the form up of the parade. I'll spot the banner. It'll be propped up against the wall. Everybody from that lodge will be in the local area. You can go find a person, say hello, have a chat. Interestingly, a lot of our local politicians are also in Orange Lodges, so you can indeed find them and speak to them like that. Although if you're going to do that, be polite. You can say you disagreed with them or whatnot, but you need to be fucking polite about it because they're with all of their friends, and it's a social no-no to just go up and start attacking a politician in the street. And if it was a politician that needed attacked, they wouldn't be there. So there you go. So that parade's coming up on the 12th of July. I'm going to stop that screen. I'm going to live stream that. And now what I hope to do is talk with you, and please do ask questions and whatnot about the 9 Years' War, of which the Battle of the Boyne was a part. Now, which we'll start with the 9 facts. We'll start with an article from Sky History, and it's basically 9 facts you need to know about the 9 Years' War, and then we'll get into more details and meat and potato. And I'm going to slide this down a little and see how this looks on the screen, because I think it might need a bit. Yeah, that's getting a little bit of zoomage. Right, there we go. I'll just check the comments. A new bloke, a new bloke from Sheffield would sometimes return with the dog. Yeah, no, there's definitely no dog involved, but yeah, that can happen. Yes. How long was the parade extended? Somewhere between a mile and a half. There's no way of really judging it, because you would need to personally be at both ends at the same time. Even if you're at the place where it's forming up, you have a pretty good chance of missing the parade, because there's bands arriving in the lodges to form up, and there's also simultaneously the parade could start moving off, and if you're not standing where the front is, you could realize that holy fuck, the people I was supposed to be with are long gone. So you do need to be a bit on your toes and understanding of what's going on. But anyway, 9 Years' War. Between 1688 and 1697, a fierce conflict raged around the world. It was fought on 5 continents, involved many of the major powers at the time, and resulted in nearly 700,000 military deaths. This was the 9 Years' War, a war which, had it gone the other way, would have changed the course of history. Now, do you know what? This is a bit dumb. Whichever way it went, it changes the course of history. It's a fucking major war that lasted 9 years. There's no way it can't change the course of history. It formed the history. But there you go. So, 1, it was France against everyone else. King Louis XIV of France, known as the Sun King, ruled from 1643 to 1715. Louis believed in absolute rule. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. There's other people from England that believed in the same concept. Absolute rule is the wrong term. What Louis XIV believed in was rule by divine right. as in God made him the person that became the king of the country, and therefore every decision he made was indeed correct. The other version of that is rule by the grace of God, whereby God has put you in this position and you need to struggle with and think about every decision, because those decisions affect your people, and you can indeed be wrong. It's God that's infallible, not you. You're just sitting on a seat on his behalf and trying to do your best for the people. And this difference in belief between divine right to rule and ruling by the grace of God is what forced the Reformation. It's what forced the English Civil War. It's what forced the Glorious Revolution. It has been the point at which we have had conflict across Europe for many, many, many years. So Louis believed in absolute rule and spent most of his reign continually pushing for the greater French power and engaging the country in frequent wars. In the 1680s, Louis was at loggerheads with nearly all of Europe, particularly the powerful Leopold I, the Holy Roman Emperor. On the 27th of September 1688, the war began in Irish when Louis invaded the western fringes of the Holy Roman Empire, and all of his long-standing European foes rose up to oppose him. With the French on one side, against them was a coalition led by Leopold and his other major rival, William of Orange. The main members of the alliance were England, Scotland, the Dutch Republic, Holy Roman Empire, later Spain, and Savoy. Note how Scotland is on the same side as England. Now, the throne of England was at stake. In June 1680, a group of powerful English Protestants invited William of Orange, ruler of the Dutch Republic, and his wife Mary, daughter of English King James II, to come and take the throne from James II. William never invaded England. In fact, you will see in the video for the song "We Are the English, Raise the Colours," the English raise the colours, you will see William of Orange actually being carried from the little longboat onto the shore, because whenever he approached the shore by longboat, he had the rower stop and said and called out to the crowd, "If you want me, come and get me," because he wasn't going to walk onto the land and claim it. So the people came out, lifted him out of the boat and carried him ashore. That is not how things work if you're actually invading. Fast forward to November of that year, William had landed in the south of England to accept the crown, with James fleeing to France. This was known as the Glorious Revolution. Aside from minor resistances from James's supporters, known as Jacobites, William and Mary made their way from Devon to London. In December of that year, English Parliament formally declared James had abandoned when he left England. They followed this up in February 1689 with a formal decree that made William and Mary joint monarchs. On the 11th of April 1689, William and Mary were crowned in Westminster Abbey, with the pair ruling as King and Queen of England, Scotland, and Ireland. Point of order: while he began ruling England, Scotland, and Ireland as king, the union had not yet happened. So these were three independent countries that were all ruled by the one king. The union between England and Scotland would follow, and then about 100 years later, Ireland would join the union as well. In 1689, England, under the newly crowned King William, declared war on France. This was inevitable given France's unwavering military support of James II, who was in Ireland trying to win back his kingdom. Because James fucked off to France, and then he gathered up an army and then came back in through Ireland, and his plan was to try to challenge for the crown. William then came to Ireland with his army and pushed him back to France. We'll get there. If France, fiercely Catholic under Louis, had won the war, they would have restored their ally to the throne of England, forcing the Protestant William and Mary out. This issue of a Protestant or Catholic ruler of England was central to the war. Again, this brings us back to what does it matter if the king is Protestant or Catholic? Well, whenever you have a Catholic king or queen, they tend to persecute the Protestants. Not in some mild way by saying you're not allowed jobs of very high office, like the Protestants did with the Catholics. No, they fucking burned them at the stake. Bloody Mary burnt a Protestant at the stake on average once a week during her rule while she drank wine and ate chicken. And that is why we decided we would no longer have Catholic monarchs. And with that, I'm going to check the comments. Yeah, it does. It gets a bit like that. It does. There was fierce fighting in Ireland and Scotland. In the late 1688, William had to fight the resistance of his rule from Jacobites in Scotland and in Ireland. James landed in Ireland in March 1689 with French support, aiming to eventually head across the Irish Sea and reclaim the English throne. On the 12th of July 1690, William's forces of 36,000 crushed James' army of 23,500 at the Battle of the Boyne near Drogheda. James fled back to France, never to return. James's supporters continued fighting, suffering another defeat in Aughrim in July 1691, in which over 45,000 men engaged in battle. 7,000 were killed, and the war in Ireland concluded with victory for William in October 1691. Now, so the decisive battle in that war was indeed the Battle of Aughrim. And that was fought on the 12th of July, 1691. However, time passes and the calendar changes to the Gregorian, the Gregorian calendar. Everything shifts 12 days, and the Battle of the Boyne, which was fought on the 1st of July, 1690, finds itself dated on the 12th of July. There were already parades in place to celebrate the Battle of Aughrim on the 12th of July, and what was decided was we're going to keep the parade date, we're going to keep the celebration date, but we're going to swap it from the Battle of Aughrim to the Battle of the Boyne because that falls on the same date. And that's why I grew up looking at murals of the Boyne 1690, believing that was the decisive battle, until I got a little bit older and a bit more educated and found out that that wasn't quite the case. Bear in mind, while some murals can be good for learning history, you need to dig a little. In Scotland, the Jacobite Rising ended with the massacre of Glencoe in February 1692, in which 30 members of the Glencoe MacDonalds were killed by Lord Starr, William and Mary Secretary of State for Scotland. So, it was fought in 5 continents, the main theatre of war in Europe, particularly the Low Countries. The mighty Battle of Leyden in modern-day Belgium on the 29th of July 1693 was one of the costliest and largest engagements of the war. Up to 130,000 men struck it out with approximately 40,000 horsemen fighting close-quarter combat. It ended in a French victory, but estimates run as high as 35,000 for the combined number of killed and wounded at Leyden. The French and English colonists fought each other in modern-day Canada and the USA. This North American section of the 9 Years' War is sometimes called King William's War. There were also engagements in Asia, Central America, the Caribbean, Africa. Examples of these global elements of war include the Dutch and Brandenburg fighting the French off the coast of West Africa, the French attacking the English fleet in Madras in India, and the French raiding Cartagena de Indias. Yep, fucking Colombia. Therefore, it has been argued that the 9 Years' War is the first global war. French forces destroyed Hillenburg Castle in 1688 with the battle cry of "Burn the Plantanet." Louis sent troops in to ravage the territory in and around the electoral Plantanet in the Holy Roman Empire. They destroyed villages, castles, and places, and razed many of Germany's oldest cities, such as Worms and Speyer, to the ground. Worms is where Luther had his dad, and decided that there he stood, he could do no other. Including the destruction was the medieval city of Hellenberg, famous for its ancient university. Hellenberg was the capital of the electoral Plantanet from 1085, in March 1689, and again in May 1693. The French set Hellenberg on fire, destroyed the Grand Hellenberg Castle, which still looms over the city as a much visited ruin. Yeah, you know the way we keep on hearing about people that burn books and historic buildings and all that? Well, yeah, it turns out that was the Catholics. The size of military forces involved in the war were huge, about 400,000 French and Jacobites at their peak, and a total of about 390 in the Grand Alliance. One modern scholar estimates the total number of military dead of the war was 680,000. This all began when France decided to raise a standing army of 400,000 men without a war for them to fight, and everybody got pissed off because they realized that once they had an army of 400,000 men, they were going to be sending it into battle. England's Royal Navy underwent a period of expansion during the war. In 1688, the total number of ships of the line was 108, growing to nearly 300 by the end of the war. How many do we have now? It's not that. I believe we've got more admirals than we have ships. The Navy, despite natural reductions during peacetime, kept growing. By the end of the 9 Years' War, the English were dominating the seas, but it wasn't always the case. At the epic Battle of Beachy Head in the English Channel on the 10th of July, 1690, the French victory over the English and Dutch navies was so overwhelming that the French could have invaded England. The fact that the French commander was berated for not following up his win. While they do say that this was a battle, I believe the facts were that the English Navy had been called into the Channel. The ships were there to be refitted and fixed up. Most of their sailors were on land, and the French got to fire upon empty vessels. Being within a whisker of invasion seemed to scare the Royal Navy into ensuring it didn't happen again. After the decisive victory of the English and Dutch fleets at the battles of Belfort and Le Hague in 1692, in which 60,000 men over 130 ships spiraled into the Channel, a period of English naval supremacy began and didn't end until the 20th century. The war saw the establishment of the Bank of England. Historian Marsh actually said that essentially the successful conclusion of the war was a product of England's financial strength as well as sea power. A central part was the founding of the Bank of England in July in 1691. The bank lent money to the government and charged interest. It was the start of Britain's national debt. The goal of the bank was to fundraise for the war, and it got off to a flying start. The bank raised 1.2 million, about 150 million in today's money, from the public in 12 days. Even with this financial success, Britain still began to feel the pinch towards the end. The war was expensive, with the British budget forking out a total of 60 million, nearly 6.5 billion in today's money, to fight the conflict. The peace was short-lived. What a fucking surprise! The tide of the war of the French seemed to turn around 1695, particularly after the Duke of Luxembourg, a talented French battle commander, died in January. After this, French land campaigns were getting less and less successful, and the dominant allied natives had the French on the ropes at sea. In the summer of 1697, a peace resolution was being sought by both sides. Between 20th September and 30th October 1697, a series of treaties were signed in the Netherlands. Louis agreed to give up all his conquered territories apart from Alas and the town of Landau, and he withdrew his forces from the Duchy of Lorraine. Louis also accepted William as the rightful ruler of England, despite being a clear check on French aggression. The end of the war did not resolve long-running French-Habsburg rivalry. It was only achieved peace in the short term. The Belancese French king went on the warpath again in 1701. When someone has been fighting you for a very long time, expect them to continue doing so. So there is your quick overview of the 9 Years' War with the 9 facts, and now I'm going to check. Linda Hunter, what about you? Welcome aboard. Glad to see you here. Thank you so much. Yeah, they're fucking Normans. Oh yeah. There's a reason why us and the French don't get on. Yeah, this is the other thing. The tax was meant to be temporary, but there's nothing as permanent as a temporary measure. See, once anybody starts telling you it's temporary, be advised it's there for fucking ever. Time for another Asian core. The goal. No, mate, boss, we're not fucking brothers. And I'll tell you why we're not brothers. See, if we were brothers, whenever the Catholics got power, they wouldn't just jump straight to fucking burning Protestants at the stake. We're not brothers. We're not the same. Not even close. And this is a major problem, because we need to realize that white people in Europe have been fighting each other for hundreds and hundreds of years. And none of them want what you want. The Dutch and the English probably want the same thing. The French certainly don't. We'll see how it's working out for them. So no, I don't get the brother war bit. If we were brothers, we wouldn't be fighting. I know that there's a lot of people believe that we are brothers with every white European, but I do not believe that to be the case. And I believe that if that was the case, we wouldn't have so many countries, we wouldn't have so many different traits, we wouldn't have different body types, we wouldn't have different male pattern baldness is not apparent in all males, and whenever you start to look at family lineage and whatnot, you'll find that there are families that have male pattern baldness and families that don't. And yeah, that's because they're from two slightly different DNA sequences, and they're not actually the same. I'm thinking that we are is Oh, school holidays here as well. The children are all off. They're out busy looking at bonfires and stuff. It's great. Nah. Anybody any questions before we continue? Where are we? 23:10. We're 40 minutes in. And we're now going to do a little bit more in depth. And this is coming from the National Army Museum. No, it's not. And I'll tell you why it's much more different than that. So you'll find that the European history is that of one bunch of Europeans conquering a different bunch of Europeans. And it's not really about it's not about families. It's about the people from Holland being different from the people from France, and the people from France being different from the people in Germany. And like, Germany wasn't even a united country at this stage. It was different regions that all fought against each other, and you had Habsburgs here, Habsburgs there. You had different things, but these were people that believed deeply that they were the people from their own bit of land, and that they were unique and different to the people that lived in the next patch of land, and they sometimes decided to take all their shit. It's not just it's not just family beefs. It's cultural traits. You know, in my opinion, anyway. Could be, or could be why we went to Australia. Nah. Let me see what this is looking like on the screen. 1 second. I'm going to zoom this in again. Right. Here we go. The wider war. After seizing the crown during the Glorious Revolution, didn't seize the crown after being handed the crown in the Glorious Revolution of 1688, bringing in things like the right to say that which is apparent to the government, setting up a representative democracy where the king did what the government elected by the people told them to do. Yeah, that's what happened in the Glorious Revolution. But anyway, King William set about defeating the forces of his exiled rival, King James II. In Scotland and Ireland, James supporters were commonly known as Jacobites, a title derived from the Latin version of his name. The fighting that broke out in these countries can be viewed as part of the 9 Years' War. This was a wider European conflict in which the Holy Roman Empire, Dutch Republic, England, Spain, Savoy, Sweden, a number of German states allied themselves against France and the expansionist ambitions of its ruler, King Louis XIV. Following his flight to France, James II commissioned John Graham of Cable House, Viscount Dundee, as commander of his forces in Scotland. In the spring of 1689, Dundee raised an army of Highlanders to take on the soldiers of the new Williamette government. On the 27th of July, after several months of indecisive manoeuvring, he attacked and routed the government forces of General Hugh Mackay in the pass of Killarcranky. Dundee, however, was killed at the attack, and although the Jacobite army received reinforcements at Blair, its effectiveness was severely reduced as a result of his death. The Jacobites continued south, attacking at Dunkeld on 18th of August 1689. The town was held by a single regiment recently raised by a fanatical set of Covenanters known as the Cameronians. After a 4-hour struggle, the Jacobites were driven back and the clans dispersed. Following an abortive rising in 1690, Mackay marched through the Highlands with 6,000 men and began to construct the fort of William at Inverclery to pacify the region. Now, interestingly, the people in Scotland, well, the Jacobites in Scotland, say that the 12th of July parades that occur there shouldn't really happen because it's about a Dutch person funded by the Pope who they have confused with the Holy Roman Empire, which is two different fucking things, and in Ireland. But indeed, by this war in Scotland, you can tell that actually it was an important bit of Scottish history. Somehow that's been lost. The war in Ireland. Meanwhile, in March 1689, James II landed in Ireland. His intention was to use as a base from which to recover the English throne. The composition of the rival armies in Ireland reflected the wider European war. William's forces included Irish, English, Dutch, Danish, and German troops. Point of order, while it says Irish, at this point Northern Ireland did not exist. This is way, way, way long before partition, and everybody in Ireland was classed as Irish. However, the forces that we are talking about here would be the Enniskillens, the Ulster Scots, the British people, not the because the Irish people were busy supporting the forces of James II and his Jacobites. While a large French contingent fought on the Jacobite side, so they brought French over with them. Using the regular Irish regiments he had officered with Catholics a few years earlier, Richard Talbot, Earl of Tyrconnell, succeeded in reducing Williamite support to the besieged towns of Londonderry and Enniskillen. That's not exactly true. They were the largest points of resistance, but the likes of Cumber, where the latter came from, all did not. It wasn't. He didn't rule all over Ulster except for those two towns. That's a gross exaggeration. Londonderry endured a 3-month siege until Major General Percy Keel relieved the town in August 1689. You will hear me talk about the siege of Derry and the parades and the burning of Lundy, who was willing to sacrifice the city. That's all part of that. That's what this is. Although the defenders held on defiantly, they showed little aggression and allowing themselves to be bottled up with a smaller number of Jacobites. Did they fuck? You absolute total bullshitter. Because pretty much every night, the people from inside Londonderry come outside the walls and attack the fucking Jacobites. Oh. The defenders of Enniskillen, on the other hand, conducted a brilliant campaign throughout 1689, using the town as a base to attack the enemy. On several occasions, they defeated larger Jacobite forces and successfully held the towns of Ballyshook and Balleek, enabling them to be resupplied by sea. Their cavalry under the energetic Colonel Thomas Lloyd raided widely, boosting their supplies and keeping the Jacobites off balance. William's army, I'm going back to check the chat. Fuckers a lot. Mr. Blogs is right then. What about you, Billy? How come we don't speak a word of Dutch? Because most of the Dutch can speak English. That's why. 1 second, I'm checking the chat. If I count the biscuit. Right, sorry, I was just checking the chat. I had current comment. What about you, Sean? Right, William's army. In August 1689, William's main army landed at Carrickfergus, led by Marshal Frederick, Duke of Schomberg, a veteran German commander. A shortage of supplies and the rawness of many of his English troops prevented Schomberg from doing anything more than holding a bridgehead. Many of his men died in the army's autumn camp at Dundalk. The following June, William himself landed at Carrickfergus to take over direction of the war, bringing with him veteran reinforcements. He advanced south against James, who retreated before him. The other thing that happened as William moved throughout the country is large bonfires were lit as the army moved forward to let the people know that the king had arrived. On the 1st of July 1690, the Jacobites attempted to defend the position on the River Boyne, near the town of Drogheda. Although it was strong in cavalry, James's army were outnumbered by William and lacked effective artillery. The Boyne was forebode, and William used his numeral superiority to make a wide outflanking movement against the Jacobite left, pinning down many of James's best troops. Overcoming stiff resistance, the remaining Williamite forces broke through the centre and right of the Jacobite position, forcing James to retreat. William was wounded in the leg during the battle. His second in command, the 75-year-old Duke of Schomberg, was killed rallying his troops during the struggle. And also, William was seen on many occasions where the fighting was at its thickest. He was a battle king. He led from the front. Ockram. So a year later, on the 12th of July, defeated James fled to France once more, but his army was able to continue the war for another year. It was routed at Ockram on the 12th of July 1691, one of the bloodiest battles ever fought in Irish soil. One of the nowhere near the largest. This effectively marked the end of the Irish Catholic Jacobite resistance to William. The town of Limerick held out for James until October 1691, when it surrendered as part of the peace agreement that brought the war in Ireland to an end. Now, the war in Europe. A wider war in Europe was triggered by King Louis XIV's invasion of the Rhineland in October. Yeah, an invasion of the Rhineland causing the war. Who would have thunk it? His aim was to strengthen French influence in the German states at the expense of the Holy Roman Empire, which was then engaged in a bitter war with the Turks. Oh fuck! The Holy Roman Empire is fighting the Turks. The Holy Roman Empire is fighting the Turks, and the French decide, yeah, let's fucking attack the Holy Roman Empire. Well, actually, the Catholics decide, let's attack the Holy Roman Empire because they're already in trouble with fighting the Turks. What else happened about this time? Oh, yes, the last siege of Vienna, 1688. The last time an armed Muslim horde was threatening Europe was in Vienna in 1688. The Polish Hussars and Hungarian Hussars came in, beat the shit out of them. But what were the Catholics doing? Yeah, they're attacking the fucking they're attacking the other Christians. Great. And by the way, they will do it again. They fucking will do it again. What you have to understand is these people have traits, and they currently see an opportunity to steal power and get more of their influence, and they do it by fucking blaming the Turks. But by the way, they're going to fucking stab you in the back. Take that to the fucking bank with you. In response, a coalition of France's European rivals took up arms. The Holy Roman Empire was France's main rival. It was ruled by the Habsburg family, a branch which also ruled Spain. The Spanish Habsburg ruler Charles II had suffered from poor health throughout his life and was now seriously ill. With no direct heir, Charles's domains could pass to either his closest dynastic relations, the Habsburgs of the Holy Roman Empire, or the Bourbons of France. Another biscuit involved there, the Bourbon. The war in Europe was therefore partly about France and the Empire, both jockeying for position in anticipation of the Spanish Habsburg line dying out. The Grand Alliance. Following the seizure of the English throne, William helped create the Grand Alliance, consisting of England, the Dutch Republic, Bavaria, Brandenburg, Saxony, the Holy Roman Empire, and Spain. Note that in this version, Scotland is not considered an ally. That's because they're busy fucking raising an army of Jacobites to fight you. It sought to resist any further attempts by Louis XIV to expand his territorial and dynastic claims in Western Europe. William's aims. The new English king saw the war as a way of reducing Louis XIV's power. When the French invaded his Dutch native republic back in 1672, William had successfully organised a resistance. By the way, that resistance involved flooding their own fucking country. Yes, whenever the French invaded with their 400,000 strong army and they were not going to be able to beat them, the Dutch flooded their own country because they knew that once they got these fuckers out of the way, they could fix it again because the land was reclaimed in the first place. And they were prepared to lose the use of it temporarily in order to permanently keep these other fuckers out. And he was determined to avoid any repeat attack. The French also posed a threat to William through their support of the exiled James II, because both of them believed in rule by divine right. Victory in the conflict would therefore help secure his recently won throne. Sorry, I'm going to check the chat and get some liquid. Yeah, this is true. Oh yeah, yes, Slim, very inbred, and that's the reason why Mary Stuart couldn't have a child, because he was so inbred that the reproduction line had been turned off by genetics. Yep. This is true. Yes, it was. Yep. There was a couple of people got executed and their body put on display, I believe, Bass. Yep, and then William came to the fore and began to put things right. Yes, Spanish chicken, Scotland did indeed go bust, and that's why they entered the Act of Union. They had the union for England with England because they were fucking skint. They won't admit that. They'll say they were invaded and they should never join forces, but had England not bailed them out financially, Scotland was fucked. The main fight in the continent took place around France's borders, the Spanish Netherlands, now Belgium and Luxembourg, the Rhineland and the Duchy of Savoy, now northwestern Italy, and Catalonia. The French won several victories in the two later regions, but they eventually withdrew from the Rhineland. The war also extended to the overseas colonies and the contending powers. England and France, together with their native allies, fought the Americans as King William's War. The Anglo-Dutch navies also influenced several defeats of the French to secure control of the seas. Now, before we go into the Low Countries, I'm going to drop this one back out, and I'm going to have a musical interlude. Sorry, I need some liquid. Musical interlude coming. Going to play my new outro. Please enjoy. Yep, there it is. Here we go.
In the red dirt, name carved in a stone you can't move. 42 wears the north wind like a tattoo. Green field trapped in the gray sky, saw the rain still stuck in his throat. Far from the line on the map, he carries that border like a coat. 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, spitting old ghosts into new dark songs. From the cold, wet edge of Northern Ireland to the dry heat where his shadow runs long. 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, every line is a vow he won't undo. Hear that low voice curse and bless, words like broken glass in the heather. Tongue tastes blood and black tea. He writes the river that cut his town. He writes walls only he can see. Vision of Ulster's flicker over rusted wire and ruin. He plants a flag in this dead valley and calls it home by singing. 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, spitting old ghosts into new dark songs. From the cold, wet edge of Northern Ireland to the dry heat where his shadow runs long. 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, every line is a vow he won't undo. Hear that low voice curse and bless when the dust says 42. Is it exile if the land moves with you? Is it freedom if the past still stares straight through? He laughs like a funeral, he prays like a fight, writes Ulster in the sand, lets the wind decide the right. At 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, spitting old ghosts into new dark songs. From the cold, wet edge of Northern Ireland to the dry heat where his shadow runs long. 42,
Mr. Vincent, the real of Vincent of Griffin. There's quite a large parade coming up on the 12th of July on the Sunday. In England, there's a parade in Liverpool and then Southport and other areas as well, where the existence of the United Kingdom will indeed be celebrated. If you my email address is in the description. If you want to, if you send me an email, I will look up the details of the parades for you. I know that they're happening in England, but I'm not fully over the details, obviously, because I don't live in England. No, mate. Actual fucking, yeah, loyalists, British people, Orange Parades, celebrating this whole 12th of July and winning the 9 Years' War and all of that. That's happening in England on the 12th of July. It doesn't just happen in Northern Ireland. If you want, I'll get you the details. If anybody in England has not a lot to do on Sunday the 12th and wants to know where the parades are, drop me an email, 42rights@yahoo.co.uk, and I'll figure out the info for you. No, members of your fucking militia. You know England has a militia. It was formed in 1795. Actually, most of us probably don't, because nobody turns up to the militia meetings anymore. But yeah, there's parades the same as the ones that I actually. One momento. One momento. What about you, Amanda? Welcome aboard. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, right. One momento. Let's find this. Right. Let's just get this past the advertisements. Yes, and another advertisement for that hotel I was looking at in. Right, here we go. StreamYards. Present or invite. Stop that screen. Present or invite. Share screen. Share screen. Right. This is Southport, England last year. Get the sound back on. By the way, that band that just went past is The Light of Foot. These are bands that were created to help speak to men about mental health issues and not doing something that causes you to not have it tomorrow. That's who was leading the parade and put them to the front, because it's a very important issue. Bruce William, am I right? right, that's all I'm actually playing with that because it's not the thing. But yeah, if you want to go watch that this year, drop me an email and I will find out. Oh, lovely. Very good. If you're wanting to go and watch those parades that are coming up on the 12th of Sunday, the 12th of July, send me an email and I will look it up and find out the dates and times for you. But anyway, we're back to the advertised content and the 9 Years' War. Here we go. Right, the Low Countries, Steam Art Studio, that's the stage. The magic of the sash is it gets passed from father to son, from father to son, the father to son. That's what it is. It's not magical in a sense of it conjures up things or has special powers, but what it does hold is the sentimental memories of the generations that went before. That is the magic of the sash. And by the way, most of those that you've seen were not sashes, they were collarettes. If it comes down on a V, it's a collarette. If it goes from shoulder to hip, it's a sash. Here, fence, please don't worry. I quite like that we diversion because it is actually, it actually fits in because this is how the events that we're talking about in this show from 1690 are remembered in England today. This is your victory parade for the Glorious Revolution. You know, yeah, the Royal Black Preceptory is a similar but slightly different thing. The black is a, you could class it as the Sergeant's Mace of the Orange Order. Oh yeah, they come from across England, the Southport for the 12th of July, and then there's another one in October. There's a big parade where they have a reenactment of the landing of William. No, Black Knights and Sirs. Yeah, the Hibernians are the bastards. Not fondly, but they have like one parade a year. There you go. Right. So war in some Low Countries. The war in Spanish Netherlands, another region that Louis wanted to annex, become a stalemate as one lengthy siege succeeded another. Major battles such as French victories at Fleurs in 1690, Stennig in 1692, and Landen 1693 were comparatively rare and never decisive enough to bring about an end to the struggle. Landen, fought on the 29th of July 1693, or Narien, was one of the bloodiest battles of the war. William tried to prevent the Duke of Luxembourg's French army from taking Brussels and Liège by engaging him at Landen, about 30 miles east of Brussels. After fierce fighting, William was forced to abandon his position, but his army was able to retreat in fairly good order. The combined casualty of the two armies exceeded 25,000 men. Although victorious, the French army suffered such great losses that the Duke of Luxembourg had to abandon any designs on Brussels and Liège. Namur. William's greatest success was the retaking of Namur, a city around 35 miles southeast of Brussels. In 1692, the French had besieged the capital Namur in just 27 days. The city's defences were improved by Louis XI's great military engineer. Although the stronghold was generally considered impregnable, William's army laid siege to it in June 1695, retaking it after 2 months. The Royal Regiment of Ireland led the storming of the citadel, which resulted in its surrender on the 1st of September. The Royal Regiment of Ireland, just want to check on this. Right. We're going back. We're not going to go fully into that. Just want to have a quick check and look and see what it was going to be about. Peace. Check a studio. Oh, right. Here's the crack, Billy. See, whenever people come together and form their own private Orange Lodge, they get to decide what color the regalia is going to be. The bog standard is orange, but some people go with blue, some people go with purple. Actually, the purple ones are the purple ones are the apprentice boys of Dara. It's more of a purpley color. But there's even some lodges. There's one lodge I know of that walks with a white colorette. It's just personal choice for the lodges. A lot of the blue ones with blue collarettes are lodges that have a large amount of members that support Glasgow Rangers. Not sure. Haven't heard from them in a while. Yeah. No goats were indeed harmed. That's a bit of a myth. Commander, what about you, Sean? Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming along. Don't worry about it. Right. Where are we? We're talking about the peace. Although the French were relatively successful in battle, they lacked the financial resources of the English and the Dutch. By the mid-1690s, France was also wrecked by famine. However, the English and Dutch were financially exhausted by the fighting too, and when Savoy defected from the Grand Alliance, all parties were keen for a settlement. By the terms of the Treaty of Ryswick, 1697, Louis XIV retained some of his war gains, including Alice, but he was forced to return to Lorraine to its ruler and to give up any gains on the east bank of the Rhine. Louis also accepted William as the rightful ruler of England. So, think about this. What the fuck right did Louis XIV, the King of France, have to do to poke his nose into who the fuck was the King of England? None, zero, sells, fuck all. But he was a Catholic and William was a Protestant, and he just couldn't have that. While the Dutch acquired a fortress system in the Spanish Netherlands to help secure their borders. However, the treaty did not settle all of the issues that had caused the war. There was no resolution to the future of Spain, and most importantly, a question in contemporary European politics, and Louis remained determined to expand his dominions. Accordingly, the fighting was renewed with the War of Spanish Succession. So the 9 Years' War sort of went on a little more than 9 years, but it is what it is. But as I said earlier, do not expect lepers to change their spots. The impact of the war. The prolonged fighting demanded a big increase in the size of the army. By 1697, British forces in the Netherlands numbered over 56,000 men. Many famous British regiments trace their origins to this period. King William's army also looked very different from the forces of the Civil War of 1642-51. I would disagree with that date. I believe that the English Civil War started in 1641 in Ireland with the beginning of the massacre of the Protestants carried out by King James's forces, and that is what prompted, and seeing the result of that and the dead people in the rivers and lakes and the starved and naked people being cast out into the countryside with absolutely nothing, prompted the English to decide maybe we need to sort this shit out, and that's what sparked the English Civil War. Sure. Pikemen had nearly all disappeared, and most foot soldiers were now armed with muskets. Paying for a large overseas military effort led to changes in the English economy. In 1694, the Bank of England was formed to help finance William's War. The bank shareholders lent money to the government at interest, the beginning of the national debt. And here is just a brief timeline. 1688, William is invited to rule England. Start of the war in Ireland between supporters of William and James was 1688. William and Mary take the throne. Parliament declares war in France, and 9 years' war is on. Williamite forces defeat Jacobites in Scotland. William III victorious at the Battle of the Boyne. James' French-Irish forces are decisively defeated at Aughrim. William's coalition is defeated by the French at Sunnock, defeat by the French at Landen. Bank of England formed to raise funds. William takes Namur from the French. Peace of Ryswick ends the 9 years' war. There we go. Now, anybody got any questions? Fuck, there's a lot of comments. Expect spots to change your leopards. Yep. Now we do have NATO. Yeah. Billy was referring to the going of the goat in the Orange Order, I believe. It's not really a thing. I wouldn't tell you even if I knew. No. Where else are we? Let's see. We are 1 hour 23 minutes in, and I'm going to have a musical interlude, and it's going to be a yeah. Dreadnoughts. This may or not be the song that I. Oh, it is. Here we go. We have found a very suitable. Yeah. Right. Here we go. Yes. A sea shanty by the. That's way with it. By the Dreadnoughts. Enjoy, people. This is called The Cruel Wars.
A recruiting sergeant came away from an inn near town at the close of day. He said, "My Johnny, you're a fine young man. Would you like to march along behind a military band with a scarlet coat and a fine cocked hat and a musket at your shoulder? A shilling he took and he kissed the book. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya?" The recruiting sergeant marched away from the inn near town at the break of day. Johnny came to with half a ring. He was off to be a soldier to go fighting for the king in a far-off war in a far-off land to face the foreign soldier. But how will you fare when there's lead in the air? Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? Well, the sun rose high on a barren land where the thin red line made a military stand. There was slingshot, chain shot, grape shot too, swords and bayonets thrusting through. Poor Johnny fell, but the day was won, and the king is grateful to ya. But your soldier is done and they're sending you home. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? They said he was a hero and not to grieve, for the 2 ruined legs and the empty sleeve took him home, and they set him down with a military pension and a medal from the crown. But you haven't an arm, you haven't a leg, the enemy nearly slew ya. You'll have to go out in the streets and beg. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? A recruiting sergeant came away from the inn near town at the close of day. He said, my Johnny, you're a fine young man. Would you like to march along behind a military band with a scarlet coat and a fine cocked hat and a musket at your shoulder? The shilling he took and he kissed the book. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? Oh, Polly, love, oh, Polly, the rout has now begun, and we must go a-marching to the beating of a drum. Come dress yourself all in your best and come along with me. I'll take you to the cruel wars in High Germany. Oh, Harry, dearest Harry, mind well what I do say. My feet, they are so tender, and I cannot march away. Besides, my dearest Harry, I am with child by thee, not fitted for the cruel wars in High Germany. I'll buy you a horse, my love, and on it you shall ride, and all of my delight shall be walking at your side. We'll stop at every alehouse and drink when we are dry. Be true to one another, get married by and by. Oh, cursed be the cruel wars that ever they should rise, and out of merry England press many a man likewise. They took her Harry from her, likewise her brothers 3, and sent them to the cruel wars in High Germany.
I was muted. Right, there was a bit of the dreadnoughts, and we will consider what we're going to do next. First off, do we, out of curiosity, do we feel like we have any better understanding of the 9 Years' War, who was involved in it, and why King William is now painted on the walls in Belfast? I'll give you a little bit of a moment to think about that. I'll give 1 in the chat for yes and 2 in the chat for no, and also post any questions, and I will do my best to try to make sense of it. Yeah, there you go then. Show telegram. Oh, right, 1 moment though. Oh, and while we're doing this, I am looking for a Telegram message with some photographs in it. Right. Right, found it. One moment, people. Sorry, I'm just getting pictures here for this. Linda of Hunter is in, and I'm going to get this done because I should have done this a very long time ago. Linda's only one. Commander's missed a start. Wasn't Mister Considerative. Yeah, if you have a good look at the spelling and where I'm reading that poem in the new outro that was musically done for me by Rich RPW Media, big shout out. You'll notice that my spelling is not fucking brilliant because I've got dyslexia. But there we go. Right, how do I do this? Right, and I also need to do this. And I also need to do this. Consider. Right. Presenter invite. I should have done this a very, very long time ago. I basically fucked up. All right. But we're getting there. And check this out. This be what England Day looked like in Australia. Yep, because this is stuff. Linda, do you want to put in the comments exactly what this is? Oh, totally 100%. They're taking the piss because bear in mind, me being an old cunt and 60 years old, I grew up before there was mobile telephones and computers and auto spell, and the amount of forms that I fucked up because it says any disabilities and I had to try to spell fucking dyslexia. They are totally and utterly taking the piss. Yeah, it's a fucking nightmare. Yeah, these people are going to need to write on forms. Yeah, you know. Oh, the other thing is, do you know what the other thing I was? Yeah, this is a tablecloth that Linda Hunter got for Dawn Browning, and you've got also the George Cross on there. England Day being celebrated in the Southern Hemisphere. So pleased to see that. And I'm also sorry, Linda, that it has taken me so long to actually show this. There's another couple of pictures coming up, and the other thing I would like to do is I have intended to write a blog piece as such with the different celebrations, and I'm going to start niggling people to get me photographs and stuff. I'm going to make that happen, but things just got away from me a little bit with doing that. Oh yes, this is another present that Linda Hunter got for Dawn Browning for England Day. I'm going to have, right, I'm taking a screenshot of that because that's something I'm going to need to research. But I actually like that because that's how I learn stuff. So yeah, there's a possibility. Now, let's see. And we have another picture of the food that was served at this England Day event in Australia. Oh, it's Dawn's birthday present wrapped in a white pillowcase. A Shakespeare tablecloth from England I found. It's in the wrapper in the op shop, and some books, English books. Oh, it was absolutely lovely. Also our biggest allies. There is one more to find. 1 second, yeah, stop that screen and present or invite, share screen. This next one coming up will be the food that was served at this England Day event, and there's quite a lot of it. Quite a lot of it indeed. Right, no, you can close. You can close. And you can go to the screen. Yeah. They fucking stuffed themselves. And then they went to a concert. Lots of nice, good barbecue and stuff. Yeah. I'm really, really pleased to see that England Day was celebrated outside of England. Oh, yeah. There's a reason Bass and I get on. Like I say, I grew up looking at a Dutchman on a white horse splashing across a river, and singing songs about there being Fenians on the left, Fenians on the right, King Billy in the middle, and we showed them how to fight. If your Pope says no, we can have another go on the 12th of July in the morning. Right. Now, what else do I have? Yep, 1690. Right. I do have something for you, I believe. Just need to check if I can get this. Right. Oh, yeah. I do have a funny. Right. Nah. Oh, I'll read this first. We had a lovely time. Dawn and Ben took me to a music concert for my birthday present. Yeah, it looked really, really nice. Nah. We have a funny thing coming up. As you all know, or as you may or may not know, Sinn Féin use the Irish language as a political tool, and they basically want Irish street signs all across Northern Ireland. They are trying to create a demand for them by requesting them themselves and changing the laws and the rules and whatnot. And apparently, if 15% of the people on the street want a Irish street sign added along with the English one, that's enough for the sign to be installed. And if people don't respond to the questionnaire that gets posted out, then that is classed as a vote for the street sign. They're very, very big on the Irish language. Now, what I'm going to show you now is a bit from a session in the Dáil. That is the government of the Irish Republic. And what is happening in this clip is there was a motion presented for a law to be enacted, and Sinn Féin proposed an amendment to the bill, and this is I'm not sure what her actual job is, but she's the chair of this committee or whatever, and she's about to ask whether or not the amendment that was put in place by Sinn Féin would be accepted or denied. And the people she's talking to are the Sinn Féin people, representatives, that actually tabled the amendment. And she's going to do that in Irish. So here we go. Let's see what happens.
We say on Keshno, Gonente for on Lasso, on Lasso. Deputies, is that agreed? No, not agreed. Not agreed. Not.
I take this back.
It's
right. So the Sinn Féin delegates have turned down this amendment.
Pardon?
They're backwards there, as far as.
Well, it's the amendment to the amendment.
Yes, that's the Sinn Féin amendments to the government amendment.
I know, and they
Yeah.
both said it's not agreed.
Right, so now they're saying that because it was spoken in Irish, they didn't understand what it said, so they turned it down automatically.
We'll do. That's apologise. We'll do it in English. The question is that the amendment to the amendment be made, which is the Sinn Féin amendment.
Great.
That's good. That's it. We'll do it in English, as they say. Okay. It's not agreed. Deputies in favour say tall. Deputies against say kneel. The question is lost.
Right, so, and they say they're yes or no in Irish, Gaelic, leprechaun, if you will, but they can't actually speak it and don't understand what the fuck the words mean. Yet they insist on forcing it upon everyone. Oh, total and utter LARP. Total and utter fucking LARP. It's an absolute joke. So I'm now going to play this straight through so you can, without the breaking it up.
Keshno, Gonente for an lasso, an lasso. Deputies, is that agreed? No, not agreed. Not agreed.
I think that's backwards.
It's, pardon?
They're backwards there, as far as.
Well, it's the amendment to the amendment.
Yes, that's the Sinn Féin amendments to the government amendment.
I know, and they
Yeah.
both said it's not agreed. We'll do. That's apologise. We'll do it in English. The question is that the amendment to the amendment be made, which is the Sinn Féin amendment.
Great.
That's good. That's it. We'll do it in English, as they say. Okay. It's not agreed. Deputies in favour say tall. Deputies against say kneel. The question is lost. We say on Ken.
There you go. Well, funny you mention that. IRA does not stand for Irish Republican Army. It stands for I'll Rape Anyone. They seem to have a really large problem with that. If you look up a book called Rough Beast by Maria Cackle, who comes from that nationalist community and was raped when she was like 15, I think, something like that. She was underage. And Sinn Féin did everything that they could, and the Irish Republican Army did everything they could to cover it the fuck up. So I'm not at all surprised that he looks like a nonce. There's a lot of them about. Oh, did you know that Jerry Adams' father was also a member of the Irish Republican Army? He did time for shooting and wounding a police officer during a shootout. But apart from that, he abused his sons sexually. And then Jerry Adams's brother abused his daughter, and Jerry Adams threatened to come around and beat him with a fucking baseball bat. But, you know, so these are the sort of things that are just normal in their society. Budgie, I don't speak whatever that language is. Sorry, I just don't. Yeah, well, Jerry Adams has got brothers. Jerry Adams' father sexually abused his sons, like more than one of them. It's like here they're insisting hamstringing the Abo kids with Pigeon, Catherine, and whatever local lingo. Yeah. No, just fucking teach them English. Teach them the language that works, that they can communicate with the rest of the world in, and do it well. I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put anything past that fucking vile, evil man. Right. Now with that, has anybody any questions? And I'm seriously considering doing a poetry stream next week. So anybody that has written any poetry and would like me, I don't speak leprechaun either. The reason why I call it leprechaun is it's not a fucking proper language. It's some shit they invented in the 1830s. Yeah, Donaldson seems to have been quite the sleazebag. Thankfully, he's going to jail, and she'll stay there, hopefully, for the rest of his days. Is where we're at there. Yes, next week I'm considering doing a poetry stream. If there is anyone who has written poems and would like to either A, come on and recite them, or B, have me recite them for me, please send me an email and we will organize that. The other thing is you can indeed suggest poems to be read, listened to, or whatever, and discussed with the chat. Paka, you still about, chum? If you're still about, Mr. Paka, do you fancy coming on next week and talking about poems and poetry and shit? We might actually do that the week after, because to give people more time to send in requests and stuff. That's pretty much where we're at. And with that, I'm going to begin wrapping this up just slightly early. Yes. Perfect. We shall do that. Well, Gaelic and Irish are two different languages, and there's a lot of the Irish that is actually Welsh redistributed because the Irish language was lost, and Sinn Féin Irish utilizes a bunch of Welsh. Gaelic. Yeah, and with that, I'm going to play the outro and put your comments up on the screen, even. I was waiting for it to auto start, but it was at the end, so that's not going to work. Yeah, Sinn Féin Irish was invented by the Gaelic Athletic Association whenever it came into being in about the 1830s. The first meeting of that organization, they decided upon the rules of the ancient games. Not quite sure how the games are ancient if you invent the rules at your first meeting, but whatever. So they codified the games in the second one. They started to reintroduce the Irish language, and by reintroduce, I mean invent. One of the other things that they did, interestingly, it didn't get very far, but they started changing the English language. So instead of saying A for the letter A, the first letter in the alphabet, they say A, which is the vowel sound. Now, they say B, C, D, E, F, G, the same, and they put a at the front of their H. It's a H, which that is different. Y, only A and H got changed. I have no fucking clue. Really no idea why A and H are the two that are said differently. But that's how it worked out, and the rest of the letters are the same. It's all very, very strange. What fucking does? I remember whenever I was a kid on the news, hearing an actor that was impersonating Jerry Adams because his voice wasn't allowed to be on the news, so they used someone with the same fucking accent, talking about the UDR. And I was like, what? And I was only like a kid, I was only like fucking 6, 7, 8. And what now I'm going, UDR? No, A's not the name of the letter. Is the sound that the fucking letter make. You know, it's really strange. Anyway, right, I'm going to play the outro and put. Yeah, that's about it. They are indeed arseholes. Right, I'm going to play the outro. I'm going to put your comments up on the screen.
In the red dirt, name carved in a stone you can't move. 42 wears the north wind like a tattoo. Green field trapped in the gray sky, salt rain still stuck in his throat. Far from the line on the map, he carries that border like a coat. 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, spitting old ghosts into new dark songs. From the cold, wet edge of Northern Ireland to the dry heat where his shadow runs long. 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, every line is a vow he won't undo. Hear that low voice curse and bless, words like broken glass in the heather. Tongue tastes blood and black tea. He writes the river that cut his town. He writes walls only he can see. Vision of Ulster's flicker over rusted wire and ruin. He plants a flag in this dead valley and calls it home by singing. 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, spitting old ghosts into new dark songs. From the cold, wet edge of Northern Ireland to the dry heat where his shadow runs long. 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, every line is a vow he won't undo. Hear that low voice curse and bless when the dust says 42. Is it exile if the land moves with you? Is it freedom if the past still stares straight through? He laughs like a funeral, he prays like a fight, writes Ulster in the sand, lets the wind decide the right. At 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, spitting old ghosts into new dark songs. From the cold, wet edge of Northern Ireland to the dry heat where his shadow runs long. 42, Ulster's poet, patriot, every line is a vow he won't undo. Hear that low voice curse and bless when the dust says 42. 42. 42.
Okay, just before we go, it's terrible shame that it's being destroyed with mass immigration. Now, here's the thing. Those people in Ireland who are complaining about the migrants call me a planter. Even the people who are complaining about the migrants think that there's no place for any British person on this fucking island. And see, until that changes, they are really fucked. They need to sort it out between themselves. Right. Here we go. Anyway, I've been 42. You lot in the chat have, as always, been fucking amazing. Thank you. Good night. God bless. See you all next week. I'm out of here. Goodbye.